I found a radio station that broadcasts how and when people will die. My name is Isla, and I love the outdoors. I'm 27, and I have a huge group of friends who plan weekend backpacking trips almost monthly. This time, I was driving my old beat-up Ford truck into the Smoky Mountains to meet up with them. It was early. The gas station coffee I was sipping wasn't doing much. I was excited for the trip, but still had a ways to go before reaching the rest of my crew, and the quiet was a little too melancholy. I knew it was a long shot way out this far, but I went ahead and turned the radio on. As suspected, I didn't have much luck. It just scanned through the dead frequencies for quite a while. Then I flipped from FM to AM, and I heard a different kind of a buzzing. Even some garbled voices. I'd have listened to about anything at this point, so I stayed on the station. A mile or two later, it started to clear up.
October 7th, 2024. Cause of death: car accident.
Wait, what did that just say? 2024? I turned up the volume and kept listening.
Deborah Gilbert, January 2nd, 2037. Cause of death: homicide. Pushed off cliff. Trensby, Dunbar, May 30th, 2022. Cause of death: hunting accident.
My stomach went queasy. May 30th, 2022. That's tomorrow. I snapped my hand up quickly to turn it off. I drove in silence for a long time trying to figure out what I had just heard. I couldn't come up with a good explanation for it. It was disturbing, even if it was some kind of a joke. I tried to focus on the climb ahead of me. Then the static came back. I hadn't touched any of the radio knobs, had I? The same sounds filled the truck. More garbled radio sounds before... Oh God, not another one.
Joseph Harrison, June 10th, 2027. Cause of death: homicide. Shot during robbery.
I couldn't get it to turn off. I tried just turning down the volume, no change. I tried to turn off the station. Nothing was stopping it. That voice and the thought of what they were saying was driving me mad, so I started slamming the button with my fist. The station just stayed on. I pounded on the radio, but it just kept playing that horrible voice. It kept going. It was practically screaming now. Names, dates, and causes of deaths. Over and over. I couldn't take it. I slammed the car into park and yanked the keys out of the ignition. Somehow, to my absolute horror, the station continued to play. I think at this point I was in some kind of shock. I sat down on the ground outside of my open door. I couldn't escape the noise anyway, so I just listened. The cause of deaths got more and more grotesque. Stab wounds, torture, dismembered by a chainsaw. I literally could not take this a second longer. I grabbed a screwdriver off the floor of my truck and pried the entire radio out of the dashboard. Finally, silence. I had been driving along a small creek, so I walked over to it and splashed my face with the cold water, breathing deep in the mountain air. I was running behind at this point, but I knew my group would wait for me, so I gave myself a minute before turning the truck back on and continuing. Before too long, I passed through the last little mountain town before the final destination. I was running low on gas, so I stopped to fuel up. I went ahead and went in and grabbed another coffee. I walked to the counter and I really was in no mood to chat, but the clerk that rang me up was friendly.
Which route you headed?
He asked, so I had to look up. I saw his name tag before I could even respond. Trensby, Dunbar. I must have turned white. That name was burned in my memory.
Hey, are you okay?
Do you hunt?
Oh, yeah. I'm actually going out tomorrow. My bison permit just came in.
Right. Hey, be careful, okay? He looked at me like I was crazy, so I left. I had absolutely convinced myself that that station was an elaborate prank, some bored mountain locals playing games. Now, I just didn't know. Trensby Dunbar is not a common name. The date was tomorrow, the cause of death matched his plans. It was all too much. I got dizzy and sat down on the curb next to my truck. At this point, I was tempted to cancel my plans. I couldn't even think straight. There were oldies playing loudly on the gas station speakers behind me, and I tried to just focus on those. The song ended, and I waited for the next to begin. But it didn't. It got quiet. I looked up in anticipation, and then I heard it. Please no.
Isla Winters. May 29th, 2022. Cause of death. To be determined.
My name is Ty. I'm 17 years old, and I've lived in my new town now for about 3 years. This town has a nice small town feel to it. I've gotten really tight with two guys from school. We hang out most days after school, and almost always on the weekends. Usually we'll shoot hoops or fix up our old beat-up trucks. One of these guys, my friend Whit, lost his phone. He didn't have enough yet to replace it with something nice. So we bought a cheap prepaid phone in the meantime, the ones where you have to buy the minutes before you use it. Whit used this thing for a while, just until he was able to afford a better one. So once he saved up some money and upgraded to a regular phone again, Whit set the prepaid phone in his closet since he didn't need it anymore. Later that day, he hears a buzz in his closet, even though that thing was all out of minutes. The inbox is showing text message received. Whit opens it and shows it to me. Doesn't really make sense, he says. The message just showed random letters. He opted to keep it plugged to a charger, and this happened a few times over the next couple weeks. After a few weeks, these random jumbled letter texts, they evolved into now simple words like,
Why? Hello?
Then a week or so after that, the simple words grew into short phrases saying things to Whit like,
Not those shoes.
Whit thought it was weird, but interesting, so he would always make sure it was charged or plugged in. Generally, it was the three of us that would hang out at Whit's house, Whit, Nick, and me. One day we were just chilling, listening to some music, and we got a random text from the phone.
Turn it down. Your mom's getting mad.
And sure enough, just a few seconds later, his mom knocks on the door and tells us the music is a little too loud. We were all amazed, but also kind of creeped out. So around this time, when it was answering us, my older brother Chris dropped by. He was bored and wanted to chill. We quickly told him what was happening with the phone and told him to ask it a question. He gave us a little skeptical grin, but then went ahead and asked the phone, You a girl or a boy, phone?
None of your business, Chris.
My brother rolled his eyes, threw the phone back at us, and said,
Really, guys? I got better things to do than play these games.
The creepy part about this is somehow already knew his name. I'm naturally a skeptic. While this was interesting and fun, the grounded part of me eventually wanted to get to the bottom of who or what was really messing with us. There had to be a logical explanation. There always is. I decided to start going through the settings, trying to reset it. I get a message.
Don't do that. I'm still figuring this out.
I drop the phone and say, Okay, you piece of plastic, enjoy your buttons and alone time. Now some backstory. 4 years ago, I lived in a different state and didn't know any of these current friends. I had a secret relationship with a girl named Chelsea. Nobody knew about us. She was my first love, and for junior high kids at the time, we probably spent way more time together than we should have. I walked her home every day and would go see her when I told my parents I was going other places. We talked about getting out of that town, getting married someday, traveling the world, and having kids. Chelsea wanted to tell people about us, especially her family. One weekend, Chelsea had plans to go camping with her family. She asked me if I wanted to come.
We can just tell my parents we're friends. They don't have to know anything else.
I got nervous. I didn't really know how to act around her parents, so I made up an excuse. I told Chelsea I needed to study for a test coming up.
Okay. I'll miss you.
She kissed me, then drew an odd-shaped heart on my hand with our initials in it, then turned and left. That weekend, on the way back from their camping trip, Chelsea's family's car slid off the road and down a cliff. No one in the car survived. That girl was everything to me. My grades in school tanked after that, and I started acting out a lot. That is one of the reasons my family moved to this new town, to try a fresh start, mainly for me. I've never talked about Chelsea in my new town. Our memories are sacred to me. I don't really want to share them. None of my friends here know anything about her, but I still think about her every day. So back to the present, and the next day we were at Nick's house swimming. Whit decided to bring the phone with him. I'm over the phone at this point, so I say, "Come on, Whit, just toss that dang thing. You don't need it anymore." I then try to grab it to throw it in the pool. Whit grabs it before me, and it buzzes right then. He looks down at it. "Apparently this time it's for you," he says, trying to tap the screen with his finger, but it's just a broken attachment. He hands me the phone. There is a message addressed to me with an unopened attachment. I touch the attachment and it opens fine for me. A black and white picture slowly generates on the screen. It starts out as the beginning of a heart, then 2 initials start to appear. T and C. Ty and Chelsea. Is identical to the odd-shaped heart that Chelsea drew on my hand before her camping trip. My friends were all looking at me. "Well, Ty, what is it?" I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to tell them anything. They wouldn't understand. I panicked and threw the phone in the pool, then instantly regretted my decision and dove in for it. While under the water, I felt like I was fighting for Chelsea's life. I could see the cliff her family slid off, and the tree the car smashed into at the bottom. "I'm so sorry, Chelsea. Hang on. Please stay with me." I get the phone up out of the water, and my friends all pull me out and help me to dry it off. I then just start crying. They must have assumed I just felt bad that I ruined Whit's phone, because they put their arms around me and said, "It's okay, Ty. It was just a glitchy phone. Don't beat yourself up over it. We were getting bored with it anyway." I asked Whit if I could take it home and try to get it working again. He said, "Sure. In fact, you can have it, Ty." I hugged him. Not sure he understood why, but he hugged me back. When I got home that night, I plugged it in and was actually able to get it to power on. Unfortunately, though, never again did that phone ever generate a message to me.